When you look out over the Amazon River basin, it is easy to conclude you are seeing an ancient wilderness entirely devoid of human influence. For decades, prominent anthropologists argued that the Amazon's highly acidic, nutrient-poor soil could never sustain large-scale agriculture. The scientific consensus held that a maximum of 0.2 people per square kilometer could survive here, scraping by in small, isolated hunting bands. But as modern clear-cutting peeled back sections of the dense tree cover, it exposed massive, perfectly geometric earthworks carved directly into the landscape. Archaeological finds in the Upano Valley have revealed the remnants of sprawling, urbanized settlements that predate almost all known complex societies in the region. These populations developed advanced agriculture that was sophisticated enough to support dense coastal and inland dwellers, with some estimates putting the 1492 population at over 8 million people. The Amazon evolved as a heavily populated landscape, physically managed and expanded by human hands for 11,000 years. To bypass poor natural soil, ancient populations engineered terra plata, a manufactured dark earth infused with charcoal and organic waste that remains fertile centuries later. Millions of inhabitants practiced careful forest gardening. They planted specific, high-yield fruit and nut trees among the native flora, cultivating massive food networks without breaking the region's protective forest canopy. If early humans successfully engineered and sustained this ecosystem for millennia, we have to ask why our modern interactions are tearing it apart so quickly. The lush forest early European explorers encountered was a highly curated, overgrown cultural parkland waiting to be understood. The health of the Amazon relies on a bizarre planetary exchange. Every year, 22 million tons of phosphorus-rich dust blow across the Atlantic from the Sahara Desert, naturally fertilizing the Amazonian soil to replace nutrients washed away by heavy rains. This map shows how that fertilized vegetation drives the continent's climate. The basin's 390 billion trees act as a massive biological water pump, sweating moisture back into the atmosphere to create flying rivers that distribute rainfall across South America. When European colonizers arrived, they brought diseases like smallpox and typhus. The indigenous population collapsed from an estimated 5 million down to a fraction of that number in a matter of decades. Without the millions of forest gardeners actively managing the plazas, roads, and agricultural networks, the fast-growing jungle canopy quickly swallowed the abandoned cities. The vast wilderness documented by European colonizers was the overgrown aftermath of a massive, recently collapsed civilization. Human access to the deep interior was mostly cut off until the 1970s, when governments began pushing massive highway projects through the canopy, triggering a wave of modern green extractivism. Today, global demand for commodities drives severe clear-cutting. 70% of formerly forested land in the Amazon has been converted into pasture for livestock, while vast tracts are leveled to grow soybeans. Without the ancient terra preta techniques, the natural Amazonian soil, stripped at its trees, degrades almost instantly. After just a few seasons, the land loses its agricultural value entirely. This triggers a relentless cycle of slash-and-burn expansion. Farmers are forced to constantly torch deeper into the forest just to secure productive land for the next harvest. Indigenous farming cultivated the canopy, but modern extractive agriculture physically severs the trees required to pump the Amazon's flying rivers. This maps the exact footprint of modern expansion. Currently, 20% of the Amazon is non-forest area, and 6% is highly degraded. At 25% deforestation, the region crosses a critical biological threshold. The remaining forest cannot generate enough rainfall to sustain itself. Scientists call this savannization, an irreversible biological tipping point, where the lush, wet rainforest systematically dies back into a dry, degraded savanna ecosystem. This process creates a trap of agro-suicide. The agricultural sector clears the forest to plant more crops, but by removing trees, they eliminate the exact rainfall patterns those crops rely on to grow. Destroying the most biodiverse ecosystem for short-term logging and grazing yields creates a catastrophic economic paradox. Without the rain, the entire agricultural sector of the region faces bankruptcy. The trajectory is not locked. In 2023, strict government policies tying bank credit to non-deforestation standards successfully drove Amazon forest loss down by over 50% in a single year. Agricultural practices like silvopasture offer a viable economic alternative, deliberately integrating livestock and foraging spaces directly into the living, intact tree lines instead of clear-cutting. Modern indigenous populations, like the Trio tribe, are continuing their historical role in the forest. They now use handheld GPS devices and satellite data to strictly map their ancestral boundaries and block illegal commercial logging. Protecting the Amazon does not require treating it as an untouchable museum exhibit. We already know the forest can thrive alongside a massive human population, so long as we act as its caretakers.